But we're going to move on into our last topic, and this was a topic brought up by Sean.
Thanks for the credit.
The last three that you heard were me. I'm like, okay, this is what I think we're going to do. Sean brought this up, and this is why we're going to have 4 topics for this show.
Jam-packed show.
It's one of these things, it's a good topic to have, and I can make a case for either of these teams, even though I'm leaning towards one. That's why I'm going to let you go first. Who has more reason more reason to panic? Is it the Carolina Panthers or the Arizona Cardinals?
I'm pulling a Ricky here, and I didn't have an answer coming into this because I didn't know. And this is kind of what you do in your picks. You pick before it. And I'm so because this is the thing.
Do you want me to go first?
No, I'll talk it out here
Okay.
because Arizona, in their only win, they looked good. And people say, oh, well, Panthers blew out the 49ers. Well, the 49ers were in that game for most of it. And then the Panthers pulled away. The Cardinals just blew out Tampa. And Tampa doesn't look like that good of a team. But also, Carolina beat the 49ers. It doesn't look that good. I think that the Panthers have more to worry about just because of the recent injury to Cam, and we've seen him hit so many times, and that's going to be something that's very worrisome because I know Carson Palmer is getting older here, and Carson Palmer does not look like Carson Palmer of old. But the reason the Panthers have to worry here is because this defense doesn't have the same bite to it as it did last year, and that Cam Newton has been hit consistently and that he was knocked out of a game because of it. I think that should be the worrisome thing. I'm not saying that either of these teams are bad. I just think that more to worry should be the Panthers because of the uncertainty of Cam staying healthy because of the hits that he's taking.
I'm going to go with the Cardinals. And
That's
I'm going to
fair.
go with the Cardinals. I'm glad you picked the Panthers because the Cardinals were the team that I was leaning towards coming in. And I think it's a twofold panic for the Cardinals. First off, it's just for this season. If Carson Palmer can't play, who's your next quarterback?
Yeah, and Carson Palmer even got injured too.
Drew Stanton.
Should I change my pick?
Like I don't know about you, I have more confidence in Derek Anderson than I do in Drew Stanton.
I'll pick him because of the last name.
Plus, well, yeah, he's got the same last name as you. Plus, I think it's more of a panic for the future because yes, you have Bruce Arians, and I know there have been rumblings that there's a little bit of let's fire Arians or like is Arians on the way out? That's fucking stupid. The Cardinals would be idiotic to let Arians go.
I'll take him.
It's one bad year. Yeah, you'd basically let the Bears get a mulligan on the biggest mistake that they made post-Trustman. And I think it's more the panic for the future because Carolina, if you have a bad season, don't make the playoffs, guess what? You still have Kelvin Benjamin. You still have Cam Newton. You still have Jonathan Stewart. You still have Luke Kuechly.
Mm-hmm.
For the Cardinals, yeah, you might still have the Honey Badger. You might still have Patrick Peterson. But two guys that are getting older, that are not getting any younger, who aren't going to be with this team much longer, who I can't remember if one of them said they're going to retire after this year, but I do think that the quarterback is going to be done after this year. Carson Palmer and Larry Fitzgerald.
Fitz said he was going to, but then took it back.
Not going to be here much longer, and the way I kind of see it is I think Carson Palmer is done after this year. I'm kind of relating this to, I'm relating his last 2 years. We are looking at Brett Favre 2.0, just not as good. Because you look at that first year, phenomenal. Well, it wasn't his first year like it was Brett's first year in Minnesota, but that championship year, they go to the conference championship game. For Brett, it was a little bit closer of a game, and he ran into Bounty Gate, but they both lost. Had a devastating loss. Come back for one more, thinking they could do the same thing. Looks like it could end in injury for Carson Palmer. That story has not been written, but so far it is not the golden story that we saw last season. You could be looking into this draft saying, shit, we got to draft a quarterback. And, I mean, the good part of it is if you have a bad record, you can have a high pick.
Silver lining.
The silver lining. You can get a quarterback in the draft with a high pick. But still, replacing your number one receiver and your best receiver for your history as a team and Carson Palmer, who's been the best quarterback that you have had in recent history, those are two tall orders.
Damn, you talk for a long time. The thing that I just wanted to say is that I think for this season, the Panthers have more to worry about. Future, easily the Cardinals. Easily. I would have said that coming into the season just because of what you just said.
I don't know, though. I still believe in Derek Anderson better than I do Drew Stanton.
And that's fair. But, I mean, look at the Panthers running back situation.
He's at least done it before.
Look at the Panthers running back situation. Do you believe in Fozzie Whitaker? Jonathan Stewart's hurt. We don't know if he can bounce back, and he's over that line in the sand for running backs of 30 years old. Then is that running game that dangerous because Cam is a part of that running game? Derek Anderson isn't. I think that there's something to really worry about for the Panthers on the offensive side, where in the Cardinals, David Johnson hasn't looked good. He hasn't at all. But I think you can at least have some faith in him because what he's shown. Even have Chris Johnson back there who hasn't looked terrible in spurts. And I think that it just comes down to this year. I think the Panthers have more to worry about, especially because of the hits that Cam has been taking. And I think that Palmer might be willing to risk injuries to make it to the postseason one last time, where Cam still has a lot and a bright future ahead of him. So I think for this season, I think that the Panthers have more to worry about. Again, none of these teams are bad teams. That's one thing I want to preface. It's just they haven't shown up. And I think that the Cardinals have more to worry about for the future easily. But I think right now, that the Panthers have more to worry about because of that running back situation, because of that quarterback situation, because Cam's been getting blown up.
And I'm looking right now. This is according to Spot Rack. Like, I'm looking at guys who could be, like, their potential free agent running backs right now. There are guys you can go out and get. There are guys like, and this is, like I said, Spot Rack. Like, they have Gernhardt, who's a guy you can use.
Is Toby Gernhardt an answer for a team?
Bernard Pierce. You have Bradshaw. Pierre Thomas is done.
So is Ahmad Bradshaw. Bradshaw has
Zach Stacy. I'm thinking
Zach
more
Stacy's
of like
not.
They're
a power running back team,
and that's what I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find the guys who can be that power up the middle kind of guys. It's going to be hard. You're probably not going to look for that in free agency at this point. But both these teams should be like, if you're fans of both these teams, you have good reason to panic.
Hey, I'm gonna throw this out there. Tank for Fournette for the Panthers. Imagine that. Ricky, think of a read option with Cam Newton and Leonard Fournette.
See, but
how sexy is that?
Here's the thing. I'm
not saying they should tank. It was a joke.
Would you want more, but running back wise, would you want more of a running back that could be a power guy, but a receiver out of the backfield?
Are you saying
maybe like
Christian?
Maybe a Christian, but I was leaning
He's too quick.
I was leaning more towards I know he's not a power running guy, but maybe like a Dalvin Cook. Because I'm thinking more of that receiving side of it. Use Jonathan Stewart to run up the middle.
Well, Jonathan Stewart's even there.
Cook to be the outside kind of. Fournette would be he'd be the number one pick. He would be the main running back.
He's dealing with injuries too.
You can go
Cook's
with Nick
done
Chubb.
with it too.
You can go with Nick Chubb.
Chubb's dealing with an injury too. These guys are banged up.
Running backs always get banged up though.
Yeah, but Christian McCaffrey
always
hasn't.
Get banged up.
Knock on wood for you Stanford fans. Christian McCaffrey hasn't.
But he's not a power runner.
He isn't, but
he could
still.
also be he could be converted
Danny Woodhead
into a wide receiver.
Danny Woodhead's out for the season.
He could basically be converted into a wide receiver.
Let the Patriots have him. But final thoughts.
Final thoughts on the Panthers and the Cardinals.
Panthers have more to worry about in the season. Cardinals have more to worry about for the future.
Now, I think that I'm going to go Cardinals for both because, yes, you're worrying about the future if you're the Cardinals, but that's also for this season because basically this season is Super Bowl or bust.
No answer is wrong for the season. For the future, if you say the Panthers, you're moronic.
Well, because they've got, like I said, their guys are staying where
Cam Newton's not 30 yet. There you go.
And Kelvin Benjamin is young too. Yeah. So let us know down below what you guys think. Who has more reason to panic? And if you're a fan of both these teams, Brian, I'm looking at you because I know you are a Cardinal fan. Let us know let's put it this way. Rate your panic level on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being the lowest,
smiley
10
face,
being the highest.
We'll do the smiley face or pain. We'll do the pain, like the smiley face one.
That'll work too.
There you go. This is a fun podcast.
This was a great podcast. I want to thank you for
having me on.
This week.
Thanks for Mark for working.
Yeah, Mark worked, and hopefully Mark will be. I mean, I love the podcast, but hopefully Mark is back. I always miss Mark when he's not here, but I love doing it with Sean. I want to thank each and every one of you for listening to the podcast. Our Twitters are down in the description. If you're listening to this on YouTube, make sure to check out the full podcast on blogtalkradio.com/The Onside Kick. Go check out our Patreon page. We got a few Patreon podcasts that we were backloaded on uploaded, so check out that page to see how you can listen to those full podcasts.
Dude, the October one's fun.
It's a great podcast, and it's a video podcast, so it's an extra treat for you
and
guys.
You can see me freaking out over Tinder.
I am just going to leave it at that. I want to thank you guys for listening to this podcast, and as always, have a good day, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this MVP podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Most Valuable Pod for more great podcasts.